right with intelligence, but you're detached.
The characters are supposed to be detached, especially the mother.
My wife doesn't write, thank God. Otherwise, I'd suffer permanent writer's block.
Don't ever think that you can get their approval.
Whose?
The men. The ones who decide who gets to be taken seriously.
A writer has to write.
A writer has to be read, honey.
One of the most iconic actresses of our time, Glenn Close, stars in a new movie about a wife contemplating her life in a near 40-year marriage. As her husband is about to be awarded the Nobel Prize for his acclaimed and prolific body of work, Joan starts to think about the shared compromises, secrets, and betrayals. Glenn joins us now to discuss her role in The Wife. Good morning. What a pleasure to have you on our show this morning.
Good morning. Lovely to be with you.
So I saw the film last night, and I must say it's one of those films, when people leave the theater, I think they're immediately going to be talking about, what would you do? I don't know, how would I have handled this? Did you relate to this character's role at all?
Well, that's kind of why I was interested in doing it, because I didn't. The question that I had to answer for myself in order to really understand her was why she didn't leave him. Because I was afraid that every woman in the audience would jump up and just say, oh, just leave him. But it is so much more complex than that. She is complicit with him in what their life has become. So it was a fascinating, challenging exploration for me.
Well, and I feel like this is such a timely film as well, certainly with all the talk of the Me Too movement and maybe women not being treated fairly. Did that play kind of in the back of your mind while you're working on this as well? And did you give that much thought?
Well, it's interesting. The Me Too movement hadn't started when we shot this. We shot it in the fall of 16. We opened at the Toronto Film Festival last year, and then Sony, waited for a whole year. And during that time, the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement really came to, exist. So what I think is incredible is that this movie came out when it did, kind of serendipitously.
When I think it's interesting, you said, you know what, and because I was watching him, like, why doesn't she leave him? I mean, what are your thoughts on, again, I just feel like there's so many questions and answers that you could make in an entire separate book based on this book and film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's basically a love story. I think it's people, these two people who have been together for 40 years and compromises have been made. But ultimately, I think at the bottom of it is that they were a great team, but how their life has kind of morphed as the years have gone by is what brings everything to a head once they are in Stockholm.
I feel like I have to ask you, too, before we close. I mean, this film is also about leaving a legacy, and you have already done so much, so talented. What do you want your legacy to be? I mean, have you thought much about, okay, when this is all said and done, what do you want people to remember you for other than just your roles, in the film?
Well, for one thing, what leads my head is that my daughter got cast on her own. It didn't come from me as the young Joan in this movie. I hope one of my legacies is a continuation in our family of someone who really contributes positively, to our culture, the way I think my daughter has the potential of. I suppose, hope that I'm known as somebody who always was willing to go into different directions and explore different areas, and never wanted to repeat territory that I'd been over before.
Absolutely. I think you've done that. We are out of time. Such an honor to have you on our show this morning. The Wife comes out in just a couple of days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.